Hello everyone and welcome to another polling roundup for this Saturday night here at Gavin Partridge YouTube channel. So there have been more opinion polls being released through the course of this evening for the 2024 UK general election to be held on the 4th of July. We've also had a MRP poll, which is something a little bit different. I'll explain that slightly in a moment, but it gives a seat-by-seat prediction, and that's appeared from Survation earlier on today as well, so we'll have a little bit of a chat about that, and we'll go through the latest opinion polls. It's 9 PM when we're recording the video, so not as late as it can be. There may be more polls appearing later on through the course of this evening. It wouldn't be too surprised if there was. We will cover those in a subsequent polling roundup. If you're enjoying our vlogs here for the general election in terms of opinion polls on the channel, then please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Thank you so much everyone. Hope you're having a lovely Saturday evening. This is the first Saturday night polling roundup we've been able to do at the general election, I think, isn't it? Or did we get one in before I went into hospital? I can't remember. My mind's getting really terrible. Anyway, let's have a look at these polls then. So we're going to start off with Techne. This appeared yesterday, I think. So they found that the Conservatives are on 19%, Labour on 43%. Liberal Democrats on 11%, SNP on 2%, Greens on 16%, and Reform just 3 behind the Conservatives on 16%. And that gave Labour an overall lead of 24% with that Techne poll there. Now let's have a look at Survation. So as I say, we had a Survation here, which has appeared today from the 31st of May to 13th of June. It takes a little bit longer to do MRP polling. This is for best for Britain, and they have found overall headline voting intention has the Conservatives on 24%, Labour on 40%, Liberal Democrats on 11%, SNP on 4%, Greens on 6%, and Reform on 12%, a little bit down on some of the pollsters that we've seen recently, giving Labour an overall 16% lead. But it is an MRP poll which drills down to each individual vote in terms of their demographics, rather than most polls which just use uniform national swing and assume that the UNS will be the same in every seat, which it very often isn't. MRP polls actually drill down into each individual voter and the seat that they happen to be in, and then makes a prediction in terms of which party will win each individual seat, if you get what I mean, based on the voting intention. And this is the dramatic these are the dramatic numbers that Survation's MRP poll have found. So they are predicting that Labour will be on 456 seats, one of the biggest landslides in British political history, if not the biggest. The Conservatives virtually wiped out there. They go down to 72 seats, just about hang on to official opposition status, but that would be by far the worst Conservative result, in history. And they're an old party. If you go back to the Tory party before the Conservatives, then even then, I don't think there would be an election where they went down just 72 seats. Liberal Democrats on 56, so they get their third party status back, and not that far behind the Conservatives. SNP on 37, so they become the fourth party. Predicting Reform will get 7 seats there, which isn't too bad. I suppose Reform will be quite disappointed given their they will still be significantly have fewer seats compared to votes cast for them, but again, that's down to first past post. Plaid Cymru predicted to get 2 seats, and the Green Party expected to hang on to their 1 seat. This includes 42,269 interviews conducted online and on the phone between the 31st of May and the 13th of June. So extraordinary numbers, and as I say, that would easily be one of the biggest landslides for any party in British political history if that occurred. So quite a dramatic MRP. And then we have had 2 standard opinion polls that have appeared this evening as well. So we've had Savanta and we've also had Opinium. So let's have a look at Savanta for the Telegraph. We can see that they have found the Conservatives on 21%. Labour on 46%, Liberal Democrats on 11%, SNP on 2%, Greens on 5% and Reform on 13%. No sign of a Conservative Reform crossover with that poll. Others 3% and an overall Labour lead of 25%. This is how it compares to the previous Survation poll, which was just here from the 5th to the 11th of June. Good Morning Britain. So the Conservatives are down 2 in this poll from 23% to 21%. Labour have gone up 5 in this Savanta poll from 41 to 46%. Liberal Democrats are up 1 from 10% to 11%. SNP are down 1 from 3% to 2%. Greens are down 1 from 6% to 5%, and Reform are up 1 from 12% to 13%. Others are down 1 from 4% to 3%. So the real movement is with Conservatives down 2, Labour up 5, I think that is, with Savanta. And then there's also been an Opinium poll, an opinion poll that has been released for the Observer, and that has the Conservatives on 23%, Labour a little bit lower than some of the pollsters on 40%. But still a big lead. Liberal Democrats on 12%, SNP on 2%, Greens on 7%, Reform on 14%, and others on 2%. How does that compare with the previous opinion poll? Here it is. So the Conservatives are down 1. Just highlight where that is. So that is just there. The Conservatives are down 1. Labour are down 2. In the latest opinion poll. Liberal Democrats, they have gone up 2. SNP are down 1. Based on that poll as well, just there. And what about Reform? What are they doing? So Reform are up 1, I think, with that poll. No, actually, Reform are up. Where are you, Opinion? Yeah, 12, and they're on 40. So Opinion, Reform are up 2 with Opinion as well. Overall Labour lead of 17%. These are considerably extraordinary numbers. I never thought that we would see the Conservatives polling under 30%, in my lifetime. I thought, like, the 1997 wipeout, where they did still manage to hang on to 30%, nevertheless, was as bad as I would ever see it get for the Conservatives. But these are absolutely extraordinary numbers, see them down in the low 20s and the upper teens. This close to a general election. We're less than 3 weeks away now. This is how the overall polling graph is now looking. So Labour and Conservatives continue to be down somewhat. Reform up somewhat. Liberal Democrats ticking up a little bit. And we've got Green and SNP not really moving. But as long as the downwards trend for Labour and the Conservatives is roughly the same, I think it just about is really, then the gap between the two parties remains the same, and doesn't make any difference probably to the overall result, which is a massive Labour majority looking very, very likely. And we can also zoom in, see the polls or the graph just as the election, or since the election was called. That's how it's looking. Now, again, you can see that Labour have dropped some support through the course of the election. They're moving down from seemingly moving down from mid-40s% to around 40%. But at the same time, the Conservatives are dropping from their already catastrophically low level. So they were already in the low to mid-20s. They are now roughly around 20%. They've lost a few percentage points as well. And the real movement looks to be with Reform. They are moving up and not all that far away now from the Conservatives, really just a few points in it with most of the pollsters. Liberal Democrats also getting there slight movement upwards that we tend to see during a general election when we get a little bit more, a little bit more of a media focus. And then the Greens and the SNP kind of flatlining down here. They're not really doing a great deal. So Labour down a bit, Conservatives down a bit, but from a catastrophically low level, and Reform up somewhat, but not yet crossed over with the Conservatives. Whether we get crossed over, we'll have to wait and see. Right, so that's your Saturday night polling roundup. There could well be more polls appearing in the next hour or two. If they do appear, we'll go through those in the next polling roundup video. But for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.